All right, welcome back. I'm Jason.
I'm Colter.
And this is the Massive and Passive Income Show.
And we are going to talk about one of our favorite topics in real estate, and that is leverage.
Leverage. I'm telling you what. So we've already talked about
income, deductions, equity, appreciation, and now we're talking about leverage.
Leverage. And I think leverage, if I teach anybody anything, mostly on a real estate deal, it's all about how to leverage that property, because we're all about being creative, right? You guys have heard us talk about all the different creative ways on how to get in real estate. Well, that is leverage, because sometimes you leverage money, sometimes you leverage knowledge. And when I'm out talking to people getting creative about how to acquire their property without any money, my own money or own credit, that is leveraging my knowledge to buy that property. And then I may have to go out and leverage other people's money to buy that property, but it's all about leveraging what you know, people around you, what they have they could put in, and then you end up buying that property. And I'm telling you what, when you leverage other people's money or banks' money, and we talked about appreciation, we talked about equity, you just mentioned it, mentioned what that does for us, right? When you leverage, what happens to appreciation? What happens at 3.7? Because it becomes, it's not your own money.
It's not just on the cash that you put in, it's on the entire value of the property. And that's what I love about real estate and leverage, right? If I go and try and put $100,000 into the stock market, I have to have all $100,000 in order to do that. Now you can buy on margin and you can do some other things, but the risk factor is you have a less tangible asset when you go and do it there.
Yeah.
When I do it with real estate, I can buy a $100,000 asset. I can go ask the bank. I can go ask this private finance person that says, hey, yeah, I want to put $100,000 into a property. I buy that $100,000 property, I improve it just a little bit, I rent it, and then I go and refinance it and I pull that money out. And let's say I put $10,000 down on that $100,000 property, $10,000 of my own money.
10%.
And that property goes up by 5%. That's $5,000 over the $100,000 in value that I started with.
Wait a second, it's not just on the 10 grand you put in?
It's not just on the 10 grand, it's on the whole $100,000.
And you used whose money for that?
Well, I used 10,000 of mine, and I used 90,000 of somebody else's.
Whoever.
Whether that's the bank, an institution, or it's a private finance individual or company.
Now, what if you had a hot stock tip from Martha Stewart, and she says, go and invest in this stock. And you went to the bank and said, hey, look, I've got $10,000. Would you give me the other 90? Because Martha said, this is going to be crazy. This is going to do awesome. Would you give me the 90? What would the bank say?
They would do this. They would laugh.
Yeah,
That's what they would do.
Actually, probably say Martha who, because I'm aging myself here when Martha Stewart went to jail for giving out insider tips on stocks. But hopefully somebody got that. Anyways, it's so powerful. Banks will do it all day long. They will leverage even 100% financing. And then you have some hard money lenders or private money lenders. They'll give you money. I mean, it's going to cost you, but if you have no money out of pocket and you buy that property, and then that property, if all it does is appreciate 3.7%, and you leverage none of your own money, just leverage your relationships, man, what's the return on investment at 3.7% on 100,000 if you have none of your own money in?
Well, if you have no money into it, then it's considered infinite, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a zero denominator that is taking this 3.7% increase on top of the $100,000.
Yeah.
This is me talking like a geek, right?
Yeah,
like,
that's all right.
I like the numbers because they just work for me.
They do.
Right? But let me come back to my example of the $100,000. If I put $10,000 in and it appreciates by 5%, that's $5,000. That's $5,000 over the $10,000 investment that I made. That's a 50% return, cash on cash return.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I'll do that all day long.
All day long. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing that's so crazy. And I think what's crazy too is banks will just, that's what they're in the business for. You can actually borrow the bank's money and lend out that money and leverage it even more. People do that for their equity. They go get a home equity line of credit, take that money out, and they leverage their equity in their home, and then other people leverage that money into real estate. So there's two ways you can make even a little extra money on top of what you're already doing. In fact, one of my favorite stories is a friend of our Connor's. He went into a bank and he started a new business and he deposited some money into his account. And he's like, oh, great, your first deposit into your business account. What are you doing? And he goes, well, actually, I'm borrowing money from you guys at 3%, and I'm lending it back out at 15%. Can you do that? And he's like, you guys do it every day. You pay me 1% my savings account, and they go out and leverage and give it out at 5 or 6%. And it was so funny, that kid that was running the teller's like, oh my gosh, yeah, you're just doing what we do. Exactly. And I'm leveraging my home to be able to do it. And I think if people really understood the impact they could have by just leveraging a few things in business, in knowledge, and in the way you do things, man, I think it'd be a big game changer.
Yeah. And I love leverage because I've actually used it in a couple of different ways. I bought a trailer recently and it had been damaged. I went in and I fixed it up and I created some equity in it, and then I financed it. I had about $30,000 into it. I financed it for $50,000 and I took $20,000 and I wouldn't put it down on a house.
There you go. I love that. I love that. I have one of my friends who's like, why are you buying your daughter a car? And I'm like, because she needs something to drive. Yeah, but isn't that bad? I said, well, she's not going to just drive that. It's not her car, it's my car. But if she wants to drive it, she's going to do a whole bunch of errand running for me. So I'm going to leverage her excitement to want to drive a car, her excitement of getting her license, and she's going to earn the ability to be able to drive the car. She's going to take my son to football practice, baseball practice. She's going to be running and getting groceries. She's going to be doing all sorts of stuff. And she loved it. She loved it. And so that's why I really want to just appeal. Even if you don't want to go leverage bank's money, you're leveraging something every single day. There is some way you're leveraging somebody else. Even if you work for somebody else, you're leveraging them to pay you. They're leveraging you because of your knowledge and what you can do for them. So just get used to the idea that leverage used properly can pay high dividends.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it.
It really is a powerful concept, and understood, it can be applied and it can make you a lot of money and create value over time, right?
Yeah.
We are paying this back over a period of time, and mortgages are awesome because they can spread over 30 years, 15 years, 10 years, 1 year, just depending on the financing you get. And so maintaining and creating an understanding of leverage can just accelerate your growth in real estate so quickly. So we appreciate you being a part of our show and talking about, well, let's go back through the I.D.E.A.L.
I.D.E.A.L.
Income, deductions, equity appreciation, and leverage. And if you want to make the I.D.E.A.L investment,
Real estate's it.
is real estate.
Awesome. Thanks for tuning in.